In the lively Nigerian village of Oke-Ayo, there stood a primary school that had more goats roaming its grounds than desks in its classrooms. The roof leaked when it rained. The chalk was so brittle it seemed to break just by looking at it. And the school bell was often just a spoon banging against an old cooking pot. But the most unforgettable thing about that school wasn't its challenges. It was its teacher, Mr. Adewale. He was the teacher nobody could ever forget. Mr. Adewale wasn't a tall or intimidating man. He didn't raise his voice or carry a long cane. His real power was a unique blend of profound wisdom and a touch of mischief. He held a belief that many found strange for a primary school teacher. He would often say, "Children must not only pass exams, they must also pass the exam of life." This philosophy was the foundation of his unusual teaching style, which his students would carry with them forever. On his very first day with a new class, he walked to the broken blackboard and wrote in large letters, "Today, a subject, respect." The children started whispering to each other. "Is that in our textbook?" one asked. "Will this be in the exams?" another wondered aloud. Mr. Adewale turned around, a calm smile on his face. "Yes," he answered, "it will be in the exam of life." The classroom fell silent. This was not going to be an ordinary school year. One morning, the students arrived to find Mr. Adewale already in the classroom, but something was very different. The floor was a mess, littered with crumpled papers, ground nut shells, and the plastic sachets from pure water. The students expected him to be angry, to start shouting and demanding who was responsible. Instead, he did something completely unexpected. He quietly sat down on his chair, picked up some more papers, and began throwing them on the floor, adding to the mess. The entire class gasped in shock. "Sir has finally lost it," a boy whispered from the back. They watched in stunned silence as their teacher continued for a few more minutes. Then he stood up, dusted his hands, and looked at his students. "This," he said, his voice calm but firm, "is how your future will look if you continue to treat your environment like this." A heavy silence fell over the room. No one was punished, no one was scolded, but the message sank deep into their bones. Slowly, without another word being said, the pupils began to pick up every piece of trash until the classroom was spotless. Then there was the case of Sani, the famous latecomer. Every single day, Sani had a new, more creative excuse for his tardiness. One day, he claimed his family's rooster had overslept. The next, he blamed the sun for delaying its rise. He even once said his slippers were having an argument and wouldn't let him leave the house. Mr. Adewale listened patiently to each excuse day after day. But one morning, his patience took a new form. He locked the classroom door right as the bell rang. When Sani finally strolled in, he found he couldn't get inside. Placed neatly outside the locked door was his own little desk and chair. On the desk was a small handwritten sign that read, "Reserved for future failure." The students inside the classroom peeked through the window and burst into laughter. But Sani didn't laugh. He stood there, the words on the sign staring back at him. From that day forward, Sani was never late again. In fact, he often became the first student to arrive at school. Another time, Mr. Adewale decided to teach a lesson on honesty during a surprise test. As he was handing out the papers, he accidentally dropped a few Naira notes from his pocket onto the floor, right in the middle of the classroom. He pretended not to notice, and then announced he had to step out for a moment, leaving the children unsupervised with the money lying in plain sight. When he returned a few minutes later, the money was gone. He looked around the room. All the students were silent, their heads buried in their test papers. Nobody said a word. Mr. Adewale smiled. "I have just finished grading today's exam," he announced. Confusion filled the room. How could he have graded it so fast? Just then, a small girl at the front stood up, her hands shaking. "Sir," she said in a tiny voice, I picked up the money so nobody would steal it." She walked to his desk and returned every single note. Mr. Adewale began to clap, slowly and deliberately. The whole class looked up. "The highest score today is not in mathematics," he declared. "It is in character. This young lady has passed with flying colors." That day, they learned that integrity was worth more than any test score. Life in Okeayo was full of surprises, and the school was no exception. One hot afternoon, a stray goat wandered right into the classroom. It walked straight to a pupil's desk and began chewing on the corner of an exercise book. The class erupted in screams and chaos, but Mr. Adewale remained perfectly calm. He watched the goat for a moment and then said, "You see, even goats know the difference between important and useless things." The entire class burst into laughter, the tension immediately gone. Then he seized the teaching moment. "If you don't value your own work," he added, "life will treat it like goat food." The laughter died down, replaced by understanding. From that day on, the students' notebooks were treated like sacred treasures, always kept neat and safe. On the last day of the school term, Mr. Adewale gathered his students for one final lesson. He stood before them and asked a familiar question: "What do you want to become when you grow up?" The answers flew out excitedly. "Doctor, lawyer, pilot, I want to be rich." He nodded at each response, a proud look on his face. Then, he leaned forward and asked the real final question: "And what kind of person will you become?" Complete silence. The students looked at each other, then at the floor. That question stayed in their minds long after they had forgotten the formulas for long division or the names of distant capitals. It was the question that would shape their lives. Years passed. The children of Okeayo Primary School grew up. Some became traders in the bustling market. Some became skilled mechanics, their hands always covered in grease. One of them even became the local government chairman, a respected leader in the community. But no matter where life took them, whenever they met, the conversation would always turn to their old teacher. "Do you remember Mr. Adewale?" They'd ask each other with a nostalgic smile. They didn't remember him because he taught the longest math equations, but because he taught the deepest life lessons. One day, the entire village decided to honor him. They invited Mr. Adewale to speak at a community gathering. He stood before them, now an old man, holding a piece of chalk out of habit. "My people," he said softly, his voice still carrying the same gentle authority. "Education is not what you write in an exam hall. It is who you become when nobody is watching." In that moment, even the most stubborn youths in the village, the ones who usually caused trouble, stood up and clapped. Mr. Adewale didn't just teach subjects from a curriculum. He taught respect, responsibility, honesty, and purpose. And through his simple, powerful lessons, the village of Okeayo realized something profound. A good teacher does not just fill heads with facts. A good teacher shapes futures. Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories from around the world. We'll see you in the next video.